we're like, let's just release the EP. And we did a little additional mixing and mastering, and we're kind of off to the races. We just released our The Ocean, and the response has been fantastic. And at this point, we'll probably ride this EP out for another maybe 2 or 3 months. We're about halfway through tracking a full length, and we already have another kind of EP tracked up. We're just not sure if we're going to release it, but we've even talked about doing an acoustic version of Revival, our existing EP. So we got a lot of stuff in the works.
That's good. This is a good time right now to to get some of that stuff laid down, since you really can't get out and do a whole lot of playing gigs and things like that. Uh, have you guys been doing live streams or anything like that, or just basically just writing and recording?
We've kind of been focusing in two areas. One is obviously the writing and recording. The Revival EP was recorded live, actually, in the same room. So you can kind of hear the energy. There's mistakes in there. We left them. We recorded each song like 3 or 4 times, and we just picked the best one. So recording any fear of a pandemic or anything. So, we've got a guitar player that we're a good buddy of ours who is in Portland right now. So we're working with him on guitar tracks back and forth.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we've been focusing on that. And then secondly, we've been really focusing on our social media presence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan of Twitter. I love Twitter. And we've kind of been growing our audience in a step-like fashion. We want to knock the Twitter audience out first and get that really strong, and then we'll move on to Facebook, and then we'll move on to Instagram. And the reason why we're doing it in that fashion is because obviously Twitter allows us to have immediate interaction with people, real time. Facebook second, because we do have such a large fan base in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And they are avid Facebook users, more so than rock fans in the US. And then third is Instagram. Instagram's a little easier to do when you're playing live and you're out in the
Mm-hmm.
studio all the time, and you've got stuff going on.
Yeah. If you have the time to do videos for Instagram, that's gonna help you grow your audience. The biggest is video. I just got a new app that lets me regram. The app's called Regram, where it lets me copy someone's link video that they've done and repost it, and it copies it to their comments and everything straight over. And ever since I've started just reposting other people's stuff like that, my audience has grown exponentially. Just
Yeah.
boom, just from doing that. And it's great because it automatically gives credit to the person who originally posted it, and everybody seems to be very thankful about getting their stuff reposted, and it's pretty cool doing it like that.
Yeah.
But before it, I mean, I could do it, but I could only do pictures. With the Regram now, I can do the full videos and things like that with the music and stuff like, and that's gotten a very big response. So any stuff that you guys put out there, make sure you tag me in them, and I'll get you reposted and stuff on that.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks.
Because I did it the same way kind of you guys are doing it. I started out and I built my Twitter audience first, and now I'm kind of moving on more into Facebook and Instagram, and then as soon as that's done, I'm gonna focus really hard on building the audience for the YouTube channel here, and more of the videos. Uh, but the reason why Facebook and Instagram is because I got mine linked anyways. They're same company, so
Yeah.
just a little different platform, and I can post to both of them from either one of them. So yeah, and it works out great that way. But it's like you said, it's a lot easier to interact one on one on Twitter. I mean, you're right there, and uh, if you hear someone else's stuff that you like, and it's easy, you just retweet, boom, and
Oh,
it's
totally, totally.
there. You go. It's the easiest platform to share the stuff on, uh, and it's great. So yeah,
Well, we've made some really good friends on Twitter, especially other rock bands in the UK.
oh yeah,
And so much so, I mean, we're kind of blown away by the UK audience and their appreciation for rock music, and their willingness to indulge in new acts. So um, we saw such a great response from the UK audience that we decided to make our own playlist on Spotify for our favorite UK bands, and we update it every week or so. And the UK bands are super, they're super thankful about it, that they get, some exposure over here. But, I mean, that's been a really fun tool for us too, is that we get to share music that we like from another audience, from other bands.
hmm
But, the bands actually get the benefit of engaging with a different audience. So we're also huge fans of that.
yeah, and that was kind of my idea when I started doing all the promoting the web is to build a community of artists, and from there you could grow your own from someone. I mean, if you're just a local artist, but then you start meeting people over in the UK, well, now they're going to start playing your music because you're playing their music over here, and then their fans will be like, wait a minute, who's this band? So now you've kind of set yourself up, and now you got an international following, which is incredible. You go from just a sometimes we have people that are just like a dive bar band, and then next thing you know, they got an international audience, and they're like, this is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic because we started playing. Myself and Todd are the core of the band, the drummer. Um, he's also on a really awesome podcast, by the way. He's on two of them. Side note, he's on one called The Horror Virgin, and he hates horror movies. And there's two other co-hosts watch these movies with him, and they talk about it afterwards, and it is hilarious. He's on another one where they kind of do the same thing, but with romantic comedies called Romancing the Pod. But I digress.
Mhm.
Todd and I have been playing together since 1999, and that was pre MySpace. So we were doing stuff traditionally, we're doing flyers, going to bigger shows, and I was 14 at the time, and the other guys in the band and Todd were all a little bit older, like 18 and plus. And we'd go to shows and have to flyer to get fans at shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the game has changed completely. But what I'm getting at is that, we're heavy, our day jobs, myself and Todd, we're marketers by day, digital marketers. So we're heavy into digital analytics, and having the opportunity to see where our songs are being played in real time is huge. And we're using that to our advantage. So Spotify, for example, um, has given us the opportunity to kind of designate two or three core geographic areas in the on Earth that we can kind of hone in on. And the first one is the UK. We know that they have such a huge appreciation for rock music, and they still have an appetite for it. Second is Japan. Once again, they have a huge appetite, especially for the 80s style
Yeah.
metal, and then third is Australia. So those are the three key markets that we're kind of focusing on over the next year. I mean, we're always kind of focusing on the US because we're based here, but those are the three core markets that we're pushing. And it's cool to see in our Spotify analytics and our music analytics, UK is first. And like, okay, the strategy is working. We get that kind of nailed in, and now we're going to go to Japan. We'll do the same thing in Japan, and then we'll do the exact same thing in Australia. So we've got a game plan, but it is cool to kind of to see the growth and know that you're doing something right from an independent perspective.
Yeah, and I'm a numbers guy too, and I'm an analytics junkie. I build computer networks during for my day job, so and it lets you completely tailor your whole social media platform because if you're like, well, like for Instagram, like I get the best responses usually on Wednesdays and Fridays from 11 to 1. So you're going to save your best content for that time frame
Right.
and get it out there, and it's really helped me explode. Especially, I'm always looking at my Twitter analytics and things like that, and seeing what I can do better, trying some things out, and it's really pays off a lot. Like,
Yeah. With Twitter, we were able to kind of figure out that the majority of our replies were coming from followers, but around between 1 and 3 a.m. in the morning. And, and we just kind of did a little time zone, you know, subtraction. We're like, wait a minute, that's the UK. That's
yeah,
people waking up in the morning checking their phone. And I'm like, so now we just make sure to be active between like 1 and 2 or 3 in the morning, and we've seen it pay. We've seen it pay out in spades. With our streams going up, um, our digital download numbers off of Bandcamp. So it's cool to see what works and what doesn't. More of what does, and not have to 1,000% rely on a manager or a label. I mean, I would love to have the assistance of a label, from a distributions perspective. But it is cool to be able to do some of this yourself, to kind of dig in.
yeah, and yeah, I noticed like my daily streams on Twitter that if I drop it around midnight or so, not only do I get the full brunt of my UK audience getting to see it, but then all I have to do is retweet it 6, 8 hours later, and then I start getting my whole US audience as well, and it just completely blows the reach of each tweet up whenever you can hit those core demographics like that. And
Yeah. I think
I mean,
Go ahead. Sorry.
like especially on Fridays when we do New Music Fridays, and I do that. I mean, some of those get 20 to 30,000 views, just that one tweet stream. And I mean, for you guys dropping your links in there, that's like playing a huge arena every
Yeah.
Friday. So
I mean, that's how you have to think about it, though.
yeah, and so I mean, usually even on the bad days, we're still hitting 8 to 10,000, which is a small arena, and
Yeah, but still an arena.
it's still an arena, yeah. And people and I get DMs and emails from artists and bands all the time, just saying, "Hey, man, thanks, love what you're doing. Uh, we've grown so much just by dropping our links on your tweet every day. We get seen so much more now than we ever did before, and that's the kind of stuff I live for. That's the cool stuff." And uh, but again, yeah, I digress on that. The analytics, for people who don't use them, they're missing out on a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, I maybe you did too. I don't want to assume your age, but I grew up without the internet, and then by the time I was a teenager, internet was pretty prevalent. So I got to kind of experience the world pre-internet. And the reason I bring that up is because I treat the internet like kind of like a luxury, and I try to take it as much advantage of it as possible. So myself and Todd, our drummer, we are all over it, and
Yeah,
we we all have varying thoughts, and that we being bands and musicians, about streaming and like the state of the industry. And regardless of how you feel about streaming, that's how people are consuming music.
yeah.
I
That's
mean,
that. They're not going to the store and buying LPs anymore. You're you got to get the streams. That's
yeah,
where your music's going to be played at. That's where your bulk of your listeners are coming from nowadays.
and like the trick is that right, wrong, and different. Do I think artists get paid enough on streams? No, by no means. And then,
Yeah.
writers, I'm from Nashville. So, I mean, we have a huge community of songwriters here that have been impacted negatively by streaming because they don't see any of that, they don't see a lot of that money. But this is how people are consuming music. And rather than fight it and fight against it, try and turn it into an advantage. So what we've done is we've tried to use streaming and use the internet as kind of a mechanism to turn what would have been somebody who bought one CD into someone who now buys an exclusive vinyl that then buys a hoodie. So we're trying to turn that one person purchase into a long-term, a fan. But the only way that you do that is if you engage with them and you're authentic with them. I mean, you can go on Twitter right now and ask me anything and answer that. I can't imagine, in the mid 90s when I was really, getting into rock music, I couldn't imagine having direct access to Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
Or having, I couldn't imagine like, hey, Jerry, what do you think of this? I mean, I'm not comparing us to Alice in Chains by any means, but what I'm getting at is that you have direct access to bands and musicians I don't think realize how powerful that is.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
incredibly powerful.
And especially if you will engage your audience on those platforms, you're because then they feel like not only now I'm friends with the band, and so they're gonna wear more they're gonna buy more of your merch, they're gonna buy the signed CDs and things like that, and yeah, you definitely got to take advantage of things like that. You mentioned Alice in Chains and Jerry Cantrell, but what are some of your guys' influences for?
Oh man, so we wear our influences on our sleeves. I don't try and hide who I'm influenced by. From a vocal perspective, I'm a huge Scott Weiland fan. I'm a huge Lane Staley fan, and I think if you listen to our EP, you'll hear it.
Yeah.
Those albums made such the Stone Temple Pilots, the Velvet Revolver records. I mean, Velvet Revolver is one of my all-time favorite bands.
Yeah.
And I think you can hear that in music. So Velvet Revolver is the reason I love Velvet Revolver and Guns N' Roses so much is because of their volatility. That music was exciting because it could explode and implode at any moment, and ultimately it did. But I also, let me back up a little bit. So my dad is a jazz horn player. That's what he did as a job. And my mother is a classically trained vocalist who also sang country in the 80s. And she graduated high school in 76. And her record collection probably influenced me more than anything. So that was everything from Cream, Jimi Hendrix, Edgar Winter, all the way up through like Bad Company, Queen, James Gang, obviously Zeppelin, ZZ Top. So all of it was from a classic rock perspective, but I wanted to delve in a little bit harder. And that's where a lot of the early 90s stuff kind of, got into that stuff where you got Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, anything from the early 90s, really. And then as you kind of get into the mid 90s, my taste definitely changed. And, I'm heavily influenced by things like the Spin Doctors and influenced by, in the late 90s and, Oasis. I love Oasis. Then even later things in the 2000s, like I love Seven Dust. I love Lahone. I think he's one of the most underrated vocalists of all time.
Oh, I have a great story about Seven Dust. I was at a concert and it was Seven Dust was opening for Creed.
What year
And
was that?
I would say
Like
that was
2002?
no, that was probably like 98, 99. Yeah, and it was right when Creed first started getting big, and as Seven Dust was opening for it. But they're out there playing. Of course, they're just tearing it up. Seven Dust is amazing live. If you've never got to see them live, but someone threw a water bottle on stage, and right in the middle of the song, they just stop, and lead singer is like, "You do that again, I'm gonna come down and kick your fucking ass." And then they just pick right back up wherever they.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But yeah, I mean, like that's exciting, right? Like
yeah.
that type of rock and roll is exciting. And my tastes are all over the board, man. I love 60s R&B. I love
Mm-hmm.
90s R&B. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, everything from Wilson Pickett to Keith Sweat. I mean, I was listening to Wilson Pickett's "Hey Jude" record before I came in, and I nerd out on like 60s R&B, Motown, Chess, Stax. Like I started now from like a perspective. I started off playing guitar when I saw Stevie Ray Vaughan live at the El Macombo.
Oh.
It was a VHS tape.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I want to play like that. I'll never play like that, but I want to play like that.
Yeah.
And
Well, a lot of people want to play like Stevie Ray.
that, but that put me on like a collision course to engage
Mm-hmm.
with all these other blues artists like Buddy Guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I adore Buddy Guy, Albert King, Albert Collins. Um, I love John Lee Hooker. I'm a huge blues fan, and that stuff influences me guitar wise. You can hear my solos that I take a lot from Buddy Guy. I mean, no bones about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, uh, I'm kind of the same way. People ask me all the time. They're like, "Well, what's your favorite song or favorite band?" And I'm like, "All right, first of all, you're gonna have to pick a genre. You're gonna have to pick a time period because there's no simple answer to that. I just can't randomly pick. I'm a fan of a lot of bands and a lot of different types of music. I just love music. Period. So I mean,
Oh yeah, dude. Like, not that I pull a lot from my music, maybe from an emotional level, but
mhm,
I love the heavy stuff, man. Like, I love Lamb of God. I love Pantera.
mhm,
Um, you know, even some of the stuff that came out in the early 2000s, like the Kill Switch Engage stuff, like I love that.
mhm,
I love those records. Um, I'm a huge Zach Wild fan. Love Black Label.
mhm.
Um, Blessed Hellride is one of my favorite heavier records. Uh, and I mean, I'll even go as far as to say that, like, I even dig some of that, some of the like the Nordic black metal. Like,
Yeah,
how brutal can it get? How brutal can we make this? And
yeah, exactly.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is being able to appreciate the music, regardless of genre or anything like that. I mean, you find aspects in any type of music. You're like, you know what, that just blew my mind, and that's pretty awesome. Uh, so, if you guys could tour with anybody at all right now, who would you want to tour with?
Oh man. Uh, whew. Honestly, I would probably say it would be these three are. I would say Slash and Miles Kennedy, the Conspirators.
Mm-hmm.
Would love to tour with them. Open, of course.
Yeah.
Um, the Struts.
Okay.
Todd introduced me to the Struts maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years, and I fell in love with them. Man, that is just some fun rock music. And then third would honestly be the Darkness.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
of bands that are like active now. Like if you're gonna
Yeah.
give me bands that are no longer active, then I'm probably gonna pick something like Guns N' Roses or Velvet Revolver or
Yeah.
um, you know mm, maybe Sebastian Bach's era of Skid Row.
Yeah.
I could go.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I grew up and during the 80s and 90s, so of course hair metal and was what I started listening to: the Motley Crues, the Poisons, Def Leppard, Rat, Warrant. The list goes on and on. But Skid Row was really, really great when they had Sebastian Bach, and Sebastian Bach was really, really great when he had Skid Row. But when you separated the two, they both went.
And I know that he gets a lot of credit in the genre, but I don't think Sebastian Bach gets near enough credit for his vocal ability overall.
Yeah, I mean, he was a great vocalist.
I mean, you compare him to the other. I mean, and I know I'm going to get shit for this. I love Motley Crue.
Mm-hmm.
I love every single record, and I mean that. Even Generation Swine, like I love every record. But my favorite Motley Crue record is the one with John Corabi. It's not a Motley Crue by any stretch of the imagination. They should have called it another project. But what I'm getting at is that like John Corabi, and Sebastian Bach, these guys should be household names. Not that Sebastian Bach isn't. I think Sebastian Bach should be, or that era of Skid Row should be as big as Leopard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think if they would have stuck together a little bit while longer, their problem was is they came out and it was right there towards the end of the hair metal going into the grunge and stuff like that, and then they broke up right after Slave to the Grind, and it just they weren't the same. And that Slave to the Grind album was just ridiculous. I mean,
it still bangs. I think I listened to it last week. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I ain't gonna lie. I listen to that stuff all the time. Those older ones. And
dude, you know who doesn't get enough credit? And probably the first rock song that I remember hearing as a kid was Slaughter.
Mm-hmm.
Shout It Out. On the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey soundtrack. And I remember buying the VHS as a kid and dropping it in. I'm like, oh, this looks cool. And the Slaughter video opened the movie for Shout It Out. Yes. I'm like, oh my God. Mark Slaughter, I think, lives here in town. So Mark, if you're listening, really? Yeah, I think he lives here in Nashville. So Mark, if you're listening, let's collab, man. Let's get this going,
That would be amazing. I actually one of the best shows I ever saw live. We used to have this concert. One of the rock stations here in town would put on every Halloween called Freakers Ball, and oh man, this is probably 96, 97 at Freakers Ball, but it was Slaughter, Warrant, and Quiet Riot.
Oh man, what a lineup!
That's what I said. I was like, I paid $15 for that ticket. And I was like, this is a dream lineup. I paid $15 for that ticket. I was like, the kid in the candy store moment. No doubt. But yeah, Slaughter.
I've never paid $15 for a ticket ever.
Oh man. My first arena show was Metallica and Corrosion of Conformity.
Oh, forget you, dude. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
I paid $25 for that ticket.
Oh, man. Dude, Wise Blood is one of my favorite, Southern rock or Southern metal records.
It's like that's unheard of today, to be able to pay that kind of money to see those quality of bands, but
it's like a local show. That's like a local show.
Yeah, that's like a local show now. That's like paying your cover and getting a couple beers. But yeah, I've seen so many great shows like that. but Slaughter was definitely one of my. I'm a huge fan of Slaughter. So yeah, if Mark is listening, hit me up, man.
Yeah.
So do you got when before uh, the COVID and they shut down everything? Do you guys have any favorite like venues or stuff that you like to play around Nashville?
Oh man. I mean, Nashville is got a lot of venues.
Oh yeah.
And we've probably played at all of them at one point or another. So for in town, I would say my top three, right, in no particular order. Exit In, which is a really famous place here in town, and everybody's played there. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like, um, they have who's played there written on the wall, and I mean, like, it's like U2 on their first tour. Uh,
Oh yeah.
Steve Martin played there in like the early '70s. You know, I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
you name it, they've played there. Um, that's a fun room. Let's see what else. We like the Wild Horse. I know that it's typically a country room, but you know, we opened for Queensryche there, and we opened for Striper there, and both bands were amazing. You know, super hospitable to us. The crowds were great. And let's see, third is 12th and Porter. I don't even know if it's still open at this point. But 12th and Porter was always a blast to play. In fact, in between dates, in between bigger dates, Buck Cherry stopped and played a show at 12th and Porter. And you can maybe fit 150 people in this club. Maybe. And
Mm-hmm.
Todd and I are huge Buck Cherry fans. We've probably seen them 15 or 16 times. I mean,
Yeah.
huge. That,
You want to talk about a vocalist? That guy there, crazy good
oh,
vocalist.
Josh Todd? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude's incredible. But we saw Buck Cherry play like in between like arena shows. They stopped and they
Mm-hmm.
played at Wells and Porter, and the manager of the club called me. He was like, "Hey, I know you and Todd are like psychotic about Buck Cherry. They're going to play a random show here like on Thursday. So if you guys want to come down," and I mean, the stage is like this far off the ground, you
Mm-hmm.
know. That was a cool experience. Oh, and also the basement is really really cool. The basement Metallica played um, right either before or after Bonnaroo. Bonnaroo is a huge music festival here in Tennessee. It's like
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 days, but Metallica played there, and before or after their show, they played in the basement. And the basement might fit 75 people,
No. Yeah.
and I think you can still get that record. You can probably buy it on like eBay or CD Bay, or you know, you can find it somewhere on Amazon. But it's a really cool venue. Now, out of town, the coolest venue I've ever played. It was a joint in Columbia, Missouri.
Yeah. So I know
Called
exactly.
It's called the Blue Fugue. I don't know if it's still there. This was like in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the coolest places we ever played. It's such a cool town, cool vibe. Um,
Yeah.
and
I grew up.
they fed us a lot of drinks.
Oh yeah, Columbia. You never have a problem with running short on drinks. I grew up about an hour and a half northwest of Columbia, so yeah, I'm very familiar with Columbia, and yeah, that's they got a lot of places down there. That's pretty cool. You guys got like a merch store or anything like that that you want to?
Yeah, yeah. If you go to our website, if you go to faustband.com, you can
Mm-hmm.
find our merch. You can find out where to stream. We don't have any physical products or any physical copies of our music yet, but
Mm-hmm.
we will. We've kind of been delayed because of COVID, but those are coming soon. We'll have physical CDs, and we'll probably have some limited edition vinyl as well. But we've got really cool merch, um, and you can find it on faustband.com. And I think it connects to a Threadless shop, so it's like faustband.threadless.com. But just to be sure, I go to faustband.com.
No, right on. Do you guys have any like signed 8x10s in there by any chance?
We do not, but that doesn't mean we won't tomorrow.
Well, as you can see, I have a collection of artists that I do sign photographs for that I like to have in my background for my live streams and stuff like that. So I will definitely be in touch to see if we can work something out to get one for you guys
Oh yeah,
to
man, that'd
hang
be
up.
awesome. We'd appreciate
But
that.
I got a good spot over here by Kurt.
Yeah,
If you guys could fit right in there, right under Jim and right next to Kurt Cobain. That's prime real estate.
take it. I'll take it.
So yeah, I definitely so I know it's so hard to predict on what you're gonna be doing here towards the end of the year and the first part of next year with the COVID stuff. But what is kind of like your guys' plan? You got to continue working on your social media, just laying down some stuff, a recording, or
Yeah. So over the next 6 to probably like 12 weeks, we'll continue to promote the EP, and we've released 2 or 3 lyric videos, so we'll release 3 other lyric videos for every song on the record.
mm-hmm.
We'll probably do a music video, a more traditional style music video for one of the songs on the EP. We won't give it away. Um, and then by that time, the full length album will probably be complete, and we're just gonna release that and just go hog. We'll probably do some streaming shows. We'll probably do because I'm just assuming that I'm planning for the worst, hoping for the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just assuming that the first 2 quarters of 2021 are going to be a no-go for live music. I'm just assuming that.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think a lot of people could fault me for that at this point. So,
No, I think that's a pretty safe assumption at this point in time.
you know, once we get that first album, that first full length kind of done, I
Mm-hmm.
think we're going to pull a page from, like the hip hop world, or pull a page from the pop world, and we might just start releasing singles and doing it every couple of weeks.
Oh, cool.
We've seen those artists have a ton of success, and look how people consume media now. And if you look at a release trend on Spotify, right? So like it goes up and up and up for 2 days, and then it just drops, and then it kind of tails off.
Yeah,
So
I
if
see
I could,
those
yeah,
analytics all the time on my on these videos. Is your first couple of days, they go, and then so yeah. Whenever you do like YouTube videos and stuff, to keep in their algorithms, you gotta keep dropping fresh content out there, and uh, the more you do that, you get picked up more by the algorithms, and then you're gonna start seeing, oh my god, your plays go from, we'll just use a random number. Say you were getting 100 streams a day. Next thing you know, you're up in the thousands, and you're like, oh, whoa, yeah. Just because you've been keeping fresh content out there, that's how you got to do it in social media.
yeah. The thing is that we don't have a problem. Todd and I have been writing music together so long that it's
Mm-hmm.
not difficult for us to, like, hey, Todd, check this riff out. Okay, lay a drum riff down to that, and then we can just bounce back and forth and knock out a song in a day. I can do the vocals, I can do the bass, I can do the guitars, I can keys if it's needed. So we don't have a problem producing that type of content at all at that frequency. In worst case scenario, I mean, we've got a lot more music out there for the few people that do listen to us. So to me, it's a win-win. So that might be the strategy that we take the end of Q1 of 2020.
Right on. And there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, I think that's a very good strategy. Um, I was talking with some others that country musicians that do a lot of acoustic stuff, and so of course it's easier for them to play shows because they don't have to set up a whole band and everything like that. But I've had some that complain about the smaller shows and stuff like that. I was like, you can complain about those smaller shows, but right now is a golden opportunity for you to try something that you would normally not try at a bigger show, and you have a tailor-made test audience right there in front of you. If it doesn't work for the small audience, then you scrap it, you move on to something else for when you do get to play bigger audiences, and use that to your advantage. I mean, these are definitely not the best circumstances in the world for playing music, but if you're going to be playing to a smaller audience, you got to test market right there in front of you.
Yeah, make it count.
Yeah, try something you would never do at a huge show or a festival or something like that. And if it works there, then you can incorporate it into your show at a festival. You know,
You know, if I were an acoustic artist and we're doing small shows, things that were like appropriate for the current climate, I would be recording every single show that I did. I would bring a little Pro Tools rig, little inbox, like that big, little tiny audio interface, and just get a stereo mix out of the board. And I would record every single one, post it to YouTube. It's not hard to throw up, your iPhone on a tripod. And,
yeah.
there are so many things that you can do now as an artist. Maybe it's because guys like you and I, we grew up without a lot of this stuff, so it's easy for us to see the value in it because we didn't have it. So, and also, I mean, it's being like a marketer. I try and think of ways like, hey, how can I maximize the content generation out of this specific, you know, scenario? So, like, we're talking about doing a rehearsal here soon, a full band rehearsal. And I'm like, okay, so I'm going to have a 6-camera setup, on everybody. And I'm just going to hit record. I'm going to pull the audio out of the board, so into the Pro Tools rig. And I'm going to have, so potentially I could have 15 music videos. I'm assuming they sound good. But, for anybody else, that would just be a rehearsal. But for me, it's an opportunity to generate content. It's an opportunity to show how we rehearsed. It's an opportunity to give different versions of those. So I could even take those songs and potentially offer a live version of the EP. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do.
And, I would even be interested in doing a live show while you guys were doing the rehearsal.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah, if you want to do that, you hit me up whenever you guys want to do that, and we'll just sit back and I'll 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 shut my yap and let you guys do your thing. And, because that would be really cool just to get to watch you guys play and stuff like that, and gives you another platform to be able to get out there on. I will be. I do have a couple of share playlists on this channel, so I'll send you a link to that so you can like your any YouTube videos or anything like you got on there playing your music.
Yeah.
It's a collaborative list, so once I send you a link, you can just upload whatever you want to it. So there's 2 lists. There's one for just people that have been on the show. You can upload any and all your videos to that one, and then we have another one that I have that I just allow anybody to add their best song to or whatever they want to get out at the time. And like I said, it's a collab list, so you can go in there and change your song whenever and do whatever you want with it.
Cool.
And anything you guys need help like that, I'm always down. Just hit me up, and I'll be more than happy to help do promo for it. And
Awesome,
make
man.
sure
Thank you.
make sure you're tagging me in your links and stuff like that, and I'll always retweet and or repost on Instagram or whatever. I mean, I'm down. I've just enjoyed what we've done here tonight, where we're just sitting around talking about old music. Because I could sit here and talk about those bands from the '80s and '90s all night long,
All day.
man, and never get bored at all. It's that's right in my wheelhouse, and that's incredibly awesome. Yeah, and you're more than welcome anytime. Like you said, I said you want to come on the show, you let me know, and I'll make a time frame for you. I don't have any specific days that or day limitations. I usually like to keep it at 8:30 or after Central Time because that lets me get my kids to bed. But
I get it. I get it. Me too, man. Me
yeah,
too.
and it makes it a lot easier to do a live stream if I don't have to worry about the kids and but any other than that, on weekends, if they're at their mom's for the weekend or whatever, we can schedule it anytime and we'll do special things like you guys are going to have a rehearsal and you just want to, that'd be kind of cool just to have a whole, where you guys are just doing like a jam session and doing rehearsal. Give kind of a behind the scenes look for people to see
Oh,
how
it'd be a
that stuff.
blast. Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be outstanding. I'd be completely down for that. Uh, I'm going to hit you up though about that signed 8x10 so we can get you on the wall. And I'm going to lead looking at that merch store. You want to go ahead and tell everybody about your website again so they
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Okay, so you can go to our website and it's faustband.com. That's FOUST band.com. And you can access our merch there. You can find us on all of the streaming platforms. You can find us on YouTube. Um, just look for the fist that says Faust. Our logo is pretty ballin'. Actually, a buddy of ours designed it, and he did this too.
Mm-hmm.
He's a partner in a program or a brand called Nashbilly, and I
Mm-hmm.
would highly recommend you guys check Nashbilly out. It's some really cool T-shirts and designs and stuff. But look for the Faust Rock Fist,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you'll know it's us.
Yeah, you guys do have a great logo. I will. Yeah, that is top of the line stuff there. And yeah, I'm definitely going to check out your merch store because I do like to wear artists and stuff's clothes and merchandise during these, so you get free advertisement out of it.
Oh, thank you.
And I mean, I'm all about the free. I don't like charging artists at all, so uh, we'll and I'm hoping that sometime in 2021 I can get away from my day job and start doing this full time more. I've got so many artists now that I work with in the Nashville area. I'm gonna definitely be making some trips to Nashville in 2021. So we're gonna have to get together and just sit
Oh
around,
yeah,
have a
yeah,
few
dude.
drinks, and just talk music for a while. And but I'll hit you up, and they yeah, that I think that would be a great time. But anything you guys need, please let me know, and I will do everything I can to help you promote it and get you guys out there. And I'm gonna drop you in my follow list on Twitter this week on Fridays. I do a follow Friday that I usually drop whoever's been on the show for the week in there. I don't know how your follower account's looking on Twitter right now, but I'm at right now in a year I'm up to 15.4K. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, so
We just hit our first 1,000 like a month ago, so
first thousand. Oh yeah,
yeah,
we can definitely help with that.
we'll take it.
And well, I'll tell you what. When I started, actually, I started in September of last year, and I made it to the end of October, and I had like 2,500 followers. And then someone reported me to Twitter as a bot, and they, without any questioning or anything, they just dropped my account, gone. I lost 2,500 followers all at once, and so I started a brand new one over November 1st of last year. And yeah, in 1 year we went to 15.5K.
That's awesome. That's
And
that's incredible.
well, I'll tell you, the main thing was just when I started doing the daily streams, letting people drop their links in there. I just exploded when that happened. I mean, it was just every day. I mean, getting new bands every day, and it's incredible. Is now I've met bands from everywhere, all over the world. I mean, uh, the only place I don't have a band from is like I don't have any penguins from Antarctica, but everywhere else I got covered. Uh, and it's great because you get so much other music and stuff, and it's it's been amazing. And so definitely we will. I'll send you a DM about it later. I got two or three others that really helped me out uh, doing promoting too, and so I'll give you your names and you just follow them. And as long as you're following them too, then they'll blast your stuff out. I actually got it. I got to get you with my buddy Mike. He does some. He does mostly hip hop, but he does do some cross with rock and roll, and he does his own producing and stuff. I think that you guys might be able to make a pretty good collab.
Oh yeah, dude.
Do
Yeah,
some work
totally.
out. So yeah, I'll definitely hit him up about that too. Uh, but I appreciate you being on tonight. And oh, man, I wish I had more time, but I got to work the night shift tonight.
No worries, man. I get it. I get
But
it.
any other time that you want to get on and talk, I'll be more than happy to. And hopefully we can get that you guys practice or whatever where you guys are playing, and we can get some live stuff out there for you guys.
That'd be awesome. And also, we should do an episode where you and I just talk about like our favorite '80s metal records.
Oh, only one episode? It's gonna be
Just
a
1
long
hour.
episode. We might have to do a series.
Ah, yes, definitely.
That might be another idea. We can start another one. Yeah, we can just. I can do that all night long, man. All day, every day. We can. Yeah, that'd be outstanding. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for being on the show. Anything at all, hit up my DMs. You can DM me Twitter or on IG, whatever one works best for you. Uh, also, I can. I'll just DM you my email and my phone number so you can contact me directly if you want to.
All
Uh,
right.
Whatever's easiest for you. And it's a great time talking music with you tonight. You have a good evening, and make sure you keep in contact. Make sure you keep tagging me.
Oh yeah, we'll
You too.
do. And likewise,
I'm
man,
gonna
been an
keep
absolute
blasting your
blast.
stuff out there. Yeah, I will blast your stuff out there all day and night, man.
All right, brother. Well, we appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Bye.
See ya.
All right, thank you everybody for coming. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out, and also hit that follow button, turn on the notifications because we do a lot of shows. We got another show tomorrow night with Miss Hallie Kearns, who just had some fresh music come out last week. So we will see you all then.